Thank you. We have 12 minutes.
So, good afternoon, my name is Katie Stanley. I'm studying Animal Biology BSc at Nottingham Trent University, and my project was looking at whether jump height has an effect on take-off and landing distance and also take-off and landing angle in agility dogs in a training environment. So we'll start just by explaining what dog agility is. Basically, it's a timed obstacle course which is completed under the guidance of a handler. Dogs not under any sort of restraints, there's no leads or collar on the dogs, or they're not allowed any tags or anything to be worn. Courses must contain between 17 and 20 obstacles. The course is set by a judge on the day, so they'll get sort of a format to set so they can learn the course. But every course will be different, no two agility courses will be the same. There are two types of agility courses seen. These are contact and non-contact courses. Contact courses contain contact equipment which the dog must come into contact with in certain points. On the diagram at the top, the dog must come into contact with the red part of the obstacle. And non-contact courses contain equipment that the dog doesn't have to come into contact with. Dog agility was first formed in 1977. It was formed as entertainment for the spare time between the end of obedience championships and the beginning of group breeding judging at the Crufts Dog Show. It was first recognised as a canine sport in 1980 by the Kennel Club. There are three height classifications seen in dog agility. These are small, medium and large. Dogs are measured at the withers, and the withers is the ridge between the shoulder blades of a dog. As you can see, it's not very clear, but you can see that in the image just there. Small dogs must measure less than 35 centimetres, medium dogs measure between 35.1 centimetres and 43 centimetres, and large dogs are any dogs that measure above 43.1 centimetres. The jump I used in my study was a hurdle jump. You can see that in the image just here. Large dogs have to jump over a height of 65 centimetres, medium dogs have to jump over a height of 45 centimetres, and small dogs have to jump over a height of 35 centimetres. There are certain rules about the jumps in dog agility, and the bar of the jump must be displaceable so that any contact of the dog occurs to the bar, it must be able to fall down to prevent injury to the animal. And also the side supports must be higher than the unit that the dog has to jump. So the aim of this study was to measure take-off and landing distance and take-off and landing angle in agility dogs, and to see whether or not that had an effect on jump style in the dog. The study was undertaken at a training environment at Nottingham Trent University. The dogs were split into the three height classifications that I've just explained, and the study consisted of 3 small dogs, 5 medium dogs and 7 large dogs. All of the dogs in this study were elite animals as they formed the Team GB agility team. The pole of the jump was, at the bottom was used as a marker, so I measured from the pole to where the dog took off. Take-off distance was measured from the last point of contact with the ground, as you can see in the first image. Landed distance was measured the distance between the pole and first contact with the ground, as you can see in the second image. Take-off and landing angle was measured using a specific marker point on the dog. It was measured from the pole of the jump, the line that I'd used for distance. That was measured as sort of the bottom to make the angle. The take-off angle, the top of the hind leg was used as a marker on the dog to measure take-off angle, and landing angle, it was the top of the foreleg, as you can see in both those two images. So these are my results. This is the mean take-off distance in centimetres for small, medium and large dogs, and with the data I collected I put it into SPSS, made an ANOVA to get the p-value to tell me whether or not there was any significance. That is the mean landing distance for small, medium and large dogs, and again there's the p-value at the bottom. This one shows the mean total distance travelled, and again the p-value. This showed the mean take-off angle in degrees for all 3 height classifications. And then finally I've got the mean landing distance in degrees for the 3 height classifications. So what do these results actually suggest? There was no significance between the 3 height classifications for take-off distance. However, there was significance between the 3 height classifications for landed distance and total distance travelled. There was no significance between the 3 height classifications for take-off and landing angle. So basically what that says is jump height does not affect the take-off distance, but a jump height will affect the landing distance and the total distance travelled. And also jump height does not have an effect on take-off angle, or it does not have an effect on landing angle. So future work would include a larger sample size, as that would allow for a greater estimation across the population, as this sample only consisted of 12 dogs. A study which consisted of beginner and novice dogs as well as elite dogs would allow for a greater estimation on the effects across the whole of the sport rather than just in the elite field. The study also mainly consisted of one breed of dog, which was the Border Collie. This was just because the breed tends to excel at the sport, and a lot of people who want to compete in agility tend to go for things like Border Collies because they know they're quite easy to train and they do tend to do very well. So a study which consisted of a range of dog breeds would give a better indication of the effects across the whole population, not just within that specific breed. Also, using dogs of different age ranges could have an effect on the result, because a younger dog may be more likely to be affected than an older dog due to things like experience and just the general age and well-being. However, dogs must be a minimum of 18 months old to compete in agility, due to the fact that if they compete too young, it can have detrimental effects on developmental issues. Further research could also study the jump style of the dog and make a comparison across the 3 height classifications to see whether the height of the jump is having an effect on the jumping style of the dog, not just on take-off and landing distance. Studies could also be carried out in a competition environment, and this is more likely to represent a whole population and show realistically the effects on the competing animal, not just an animal in a training environment. Thank you very much for listening. Are there any questions?